All right, welcome back. The WWE is coming to Los Angeles on Friday. As SmackDown makes its debut on Fox, Marcellus and I are fired up to be joining the WWE family. In fact, we went ahead and inserted our faces onto some legendary wrestlers. And as you might expect, we fit right into the action. I got to say, I think I missed my true calling as a WWE superstar. The SmackDown premiere on Fox this Friday will feature some huge names: Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Brock Lesnar, and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He'll also be there. Be sure to tune in at 7:30 Eastern. All right, Eric Mangini and Bucky Brooks are back.
Brother.
Let's return to the NFL, where we will see a huge NFC matchup this week with the Cowboys hosting the Packers on Sunday on Fox. Both teams are coming off losses that raised some questions about their head coaches. Jason Garrett had no plan B against the Saints Sunday night and is just 1-5 in his career against the Packers. Meanwhile, Matt LaFleur's offense has been stagnant, and his relationship with Aaron Rodgers appears to already be on the rocks or a little bit shaky. Question here is, who needs this win more this weekend, LaFleur or Jason Garrett?
No question, Jason Garrett. I don't even want to hear an argument the other way. Jason Garrett, and it feels different even though they have the same record, and I'll tell you why. Because of the pressure from the owner. All up in the videos, all up in the press box, all on the sideline. Talking about we getting out coached and better philosophies on the other team. So it's just as simple as that. If you want to look at what Matt LaFleur is going through, let's just take a look at his ownership group, this executive committee. Y'all want to take a look at this? Where's my picture? Hello? Picture?
We don't have it.
Oh, look at this. It's a slow process. Oh, that doesn't look like they too mad at anything. They're 3-1 right there. Mutual funds doing great right there. So that's not Jerry Jones and how we know he can be a little more than personable with his coach. So different relationship, and it's coming from the top down.
Matt LaFleur is playing with house money at this point. He's new head coach. The expectations are very low coming in, and the fact that he's gotten off to the start that he's gotten off to is great. But I don't think anybody anticipated that or expected that. No. And they ran into a hiccup last week where Jason Garrett, it's a totally different situation. The expectations have been there from the start of the season. They've transitioned out almost the whole coaching staff besides him over the course of time. They've paid they've paid everybody, and then eventually they'll pay Dak as well. And there's this underlying fundamental belief that they should win and they should win now, and to lose it at home would be a problem.
I think Matt LaFleur has a lot of pressure because I think the Green Bay Packers got rid of a pretty good coach in Mike McCarthy. Yeah. I thought he did a really good job doing his time in Green Bay. And all we heard, their offense is stale. They're doing the same old thing. They're not scoring enough points. If I had the greatest quarterback of all time, they should win more Super Bowls. And I'm looking at this offense that they have right now. It's not dynamic. It's not explosive. They're not lighting up scoreboards. And you had a situation last week where inside the 5, they had 6 plays and couldn't punch it in. 4 times inside the 1, and they threw every down. At some point, I just want to see where's the upgrade? Where's the upgrade in offensive philosophy and production? Because I'm not seeing it. And this is a big game on a big stage for him to show.
Yeah, I tend to think Garrett's probably under the most pressure. I started off the week saying that, look, he could get fired this season if things don't go well. So that kind of boxes me in. However, one guy is dealing with Aaron Rodgers, who's a 2-time MVP, arguably the best player in the league, other than Patrick Mahomes, someone who wants to have success right now at age 35, and if he gets too frustrated, will just snatch back control of this offense. And Matt LaFleur could lose a power struggle, I think, with Aaron Rodgers very quickly. So I think both of these coaches are under incredible pressure going into this game on Sunday. Jason Garrett probably just slightly more, but I don't want to diminish the pressure on Matt LaFleur because he's getting to work with somebody that was in the discussion for the greatest quarterback of all time, and he's not producing results right now offensively. They have gotten to 3-1 off their defense and Mike Pettin. Matt LaFleur needs to deliver.
But only one of those coaches is a lame duck coach. And,
With no
contract, right? What did they say to a man? Don't play with my woman, don't play with my food, and don't play with my money. And guess what? Look at that face right there. If you see Jason Garrett's face, man, he's wearing it. Like, even though I know he's built for this, he's still wearing it. Every single decision, every single game matters so much more when you're playing for that dough. So,
And look, LaFleur's already conceded a bunch of control to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is calling a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage. That's obvious. But in the grand scheme of things, Aaron Rodgers can affect him to some degree, but Jerry Jones can change your future immediately. So it's a totally different set of bosses that you're answering to in that situation.
Let me say this about pressure, though, too, Eric. What about, to me, Jason Garrett has more tools in his toolbox. He's got a complete roster. And so Matt LaFleur, he's going into a game, because, again, Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers, they're not thinking about being 9-7 or 8-8 and backing into the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers wants to win now. Matt LaFleur wants to prove he's Sean McVay. He doesn't have as many tools to work with going into this big game that Jason Garrett does. That, to me, would be an added pressure on LaFleur, who is the play caller. And over in Dallas, Kellen Moore's the offensive play caller. Chris Richard is the defensive play caller. Maybe more pressure on LaFleur that.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of pressure. And I think it's a lot of pressure on LaFleur just from, like, having played in Green Bay and understanding the expectations of title town. They expect this team to always be in contention. No matter what happened the previous year, they think that Matt LaFleur is going to come back and bring them back to the promised land. They're not going to patiently wait for him to rebuild it while you have Aaron Rodgers. They want to see him win a big game. This is a big game for him. He has to show up. He has to show up and get that offense going.
But you just added pressure with an asterisk, right? You said he doesn't have the full two chest. Then you have pressure with an asterisk. He's a first-time head coach. You've got all these different things that when this game plays out, people are going to say, well, okay, I understand that because of X, Y, and Z. Where the Cowboys, there's no asterisk. You've got a full roster. They've almost all gotten paid. You just came off a loss that you got beat because of effort more than scheme, and you're at home. To me, the full component of pressure is there, and there's no asterisks for us to take a step back and say, okay, we understand why it didn't happen.
Got nothing to hide behind. All right, before we go, I'd like to address the Fair Pay to Play Act, the new law signed by California Governor Gavin Newsom that will allow college athletes in the Golden State to financially benefit from their likeness and image. The law is being celebrated as the death knell for NCAA amateurism. Newsom signed the bill on the set of LeBron James' HBO show, The Shop. The fact that it was signed into law on the set of a TV show should tell you everything you need to know about the bill. It's more publicity stunt than game-changing piece of legislation. Newsom and James are brand builders. Newsom wants to be president. James wants to be Muhammad Ali. I know, many of you think I automatically hate anything LeBron James does. You think I have a personal grudge. It's not personal. I just have an aversion to phony, manipulative people who operate like politicians. Politicians build their profiles by taking credit for things they have very little to do with and misleading the public about their true agenda. Newsom and James are positioning themselves as the Abraham Lincolns of college athletics. They're here to free the NCAA slaves. No, they're not. The Fair Pay to Play Act is about the liberation of Nike and other shoe companies. Do you remember the Adidas trial? In 2017, prosecutors arrested a handful of shoe company employees and assistant college basketball coaches and charged them with defrauding universities for violating NCAA amateurism rules by paying players. In March, James Gatto, a middle-aged white Adidas executive, was sentenced to 9 months in prison. You think that didn't shake up the executives at Nike and other shoe companies? The shoe companies need a legal way to funnel money to top college athletes. That's what the Fair Pay to Play Act is about. Yesterday, I talked to a high-ranking shoe executive who told me his company has already had strategy meetings on how to take advantage of the new law because his company expects other states to quickly adopt the standard set in California. LeBron James, like every other good corporate employee, does exactly what his Nike overlords tell him to do. Nike told King James to keep his mouth shut when prosecutors immorally made felons out of James Gatto, Chuck Person, Merle Cole, Christian Dawkins, and others in the Adidas trial. But now James is allegedly liberating athletes. The Fair Pay to Play Act is what my favorite TV show, The Wire, called dope on the table. It's a big press conference with pounds of cocaine and heroin displayed on a table and a politician claiming his police chief inched closer to winning the drug war. Nothing has changed about NCAA amateurism. The shoe companies get to repackage their money legally, and liberal college presidents still get to take the money generated by football and basketball and spend it on the sports that don't generate a dime. NCAA amateurism, an institution the architect of the modern NCAA, Walter Byers, analogized to plantation slavery 22 years ago, remains intact. Byers was the NCAA's first president and served until 1988. He was a white conservative from Kansas. He was no radical. Here's how he described the NCAA in his 1997 memoir. Today, the NCAA President's Commission is preoccupied with tightening a few loose bolts in a worn machine, firmly committed to the neo-plantation belief that the enormous proceeds from college games belongs to the overseers/administrators and the supervisors/coaches. The plantation workers performing in the arena may only receive those benefits authorized by the overseers. LeBron and Newsom are the new carpetbaggers. They seem more like Jim Crow than Abe Lincoln. More Speak for Yourself after